Okay, so 5 years after Nikon launched the crop sensor, Nikon Z50, they finally released the Nikon Z50 II. Not 2 as in 52, but 2 as in II. 2. 50, breath, 2. Not Mark II. Nikon has been adamant about that. Terrible nomenclature decision making aside, what is the Z50 II? Does it do enough to justify an upgrade from the OG Z50? Well, I have to get two things out of the way to answer that. One, I'm not a big enough YouTuber to get things for free to test, so I've got to buy it or rent it. Obviously, that costs money, so I'm probably not going to use one for a very long time, if ever. Two, I'm kind of looking at this through the lens of the community, the industry, the consumer. With that out of the way, now we can talk about the Z50 II in the way that I want to talk about it. And I'm not going to go line by line for its features because there's a bigger point to this video coming later, and like 12,000 content creators have already done that. In a nutshell, there have been some improvements of varying degrees across the board with the exception of a few things, but they also kind of come with like little improvements. And so like an example, the back screen resolution is the same as the Z50 and so is the EVF, but they did make the EVF brighter. And for the back screen, it's now a flippy screen instead of a fold down screen, which was the most incredibly ill-conceived design ever. Here I go doing karate with my microphone again. Another example is the mechanical shutter is faster and you get a better electronic shutter and you have like more options and the amazing Expeed 7 processor and JPEG pre-release, but all of that is basically on the same like 5 to maybe 8-year-old sensor. That was photos, but what about video? Well, we have much more significant changes in that regard. Go look them up because I'm not going to do it, but a few of them is 4K 60p with a crop. On a crop sensor, that's going to be fun, but we do get 10-bit internal and a headphone port. Now Nikon did drop the ball on not including IBIS. This would not be a problem if they had a big selection of crop lenses that have VR. Now their crop lenses have VR, but they just don't have a lot of crop lenses. So people who could care less about the camera and would prefer to put their money into glass, people like me, they'll be drawn to the full-frame lenses, which mostly don't have VR because they don't need it because the full-frame cameras have IBIS. It's been 5 years, just make IBIS a standard, Nikon. People will pay the extra money for it. Damn. So now, through the lens of the consumer, is the Nikon Z50 II enough after 5 years? Well, no. But I also never claimed that the consumer is a reasonable bunch of people. But I can sympathize. Did Nikon nail it? Absolutely not. But is it worth upgrading to? I kind of think so on one condition. You need to be patient and get a good deal on your Z50. You are not in a hurry and you are not losing market share by not having a much improved autofocus system in the Z50 II. Don't rush it. Take your time. Don't let your impatience get you ripped off. Earlier I mentioned a bigger point and I want to get into that right after a word from our sponsor. One day I was skin retouching the same model from one shoot for 20 hours and I wasn't even halfway done with the whole shoot. And I thought if only I knew how to write programs, there has to be a better way. That's when I did absolutely nothing because Skylum already did. They so loved photographers that they gave us Aperty, a groundbreaking editing software that can stand alone or act as a plugin for Lightroom. Aperty takes the painful task of retouching and frequency separation and turns it into a slider system. Looking for a fashion magazine flawless look? Aperty does that. Going for a more natural look with minor retouching? Aperty does that. You can even fix pimples and keep freckles. 20 hours? Not anymore. One model, 150 pictures? Just edit the first one and paste the adjustments on the other 149. You just batch edited a painfully long process and saved not hours, but days. But the features don't even stop there. Check out Aperty in the description box of this video to discover all the ways that Aperty can revolutionize how we do portraits. The bigger point is, even though this camera's name suggests that it's the second version of the Z50, I can't shake this feeling that it's less of an upgrade and more of like a shift in intent. The video features implemented here are much more powerful for a specific group of consumer than the improvements implemented for still shooters. Not that the Expeed 7 isn't cause for interest, because it definitely is for still shooters, but it seems like the focus on this series has taken a big turn towards video mainly, and for stills, a focus on getting fun looks right in the camera. Panasonic. Which may not interest you, but I can find you 1,000 TikTokers f***ing with people in public or dancing a terrible jig in their rooms that would definitely beg to differ. It's a different conversation whether Nikon is really late to that game or not, and I think they kind of might be. Point is, the camera seems to have shifted from a beginner camera to a particular type of consumer where beginner features are either just there or really appreciated because the buyer isn't trying to be Z-Wade photo dork mode, shoot raws and shoot in manual, and then this lens has more pop than this one, and this one's color is better than that. I'm karate chopping my mic again. So on paper, it may not look like much to you, but it may be just the right thing for some people. And I promise Nikon knows better than we do whether it's going to be worth the production cost and how much they expect to sell. Again, through the eyes of the camera consumer, it isn't a worthy replacement because those people actually wanted a Z500, which is not what this camera is or was ever going to be. That camera wouldn't even be close to the price that you can get a Z50 II for. But the Z500 is a bag of worms best opened up in a video of its own. Because I know someone will ask, even though I kind of already said it, is it worth upgrading? I think probably yes, but you're going to be happy or unhappy either way, so rent before you buy. Best way to support this channel is to buy your products from the link in the description, or go to zwadephoto.com/digital products to pick up the presets, or you can simply share this video with a photographer. I'm Z-Wade, the Z-Wade, and Z-Wade Photo. Stay sharp, YouTube.